Hey, what's up everyone? Brad Chmielewski here, and this is episode 120 of Shatter The Vain. So I didn't do a patch rundown for update 1.22 this past week. It was a busy week, and there was a lot of changes. I was trying to dive into them a little bit. There wasn't a ton of balance changes or tweaks to the meta that it seemed. There was more about the multi-touch and the opals and things like that, and just had a couple people fall through that I was trying to get on quickly to talk through that, so we didn't have that, but we'll go through it a little bit on this episode, not as in-depth as I usually do on the rundown episodes, just going over some of these changes and what we can expect. Helping me do all that, I have FourCourtJester joining me. A lot of you may know him or at least have heard of him from a lot of the streams, the Evil 8, the Summer Championships, the UNA is on the desk, so definitely been a voice in the community here for a little while, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does coming up in the autumn and then hopefully going into the world. So very cool to have him on here. We also talk about the idea of a new map for Vainglory. This conversation keeps coming up. I don't know why, but everyone seems to be wanting a new map lately. It's just on everyone's mind that they just want something different, a 4v4, new ARAM map, a 5v5, things like that. And so we're going to go over, is this even possible from a programming side? Do we even need a new map? Do we want a new map? Things like that. But 1.22 and autumn season is off to a good start. So many people are just getting so many skins and opals and all kinds of stuff. I'm really not sure what you can do with opals yet. There are nothing you can spend them on because none of those limited edition skins are in the game yet that you can use to buy them. We don't know how much a limited edition skin is going to cost with opals, so everyone is just collecting them. I saw someone on Reddit with 258 opals already. What? That seems crazy. I don't know how much an opal is worth, but 250 seem like a lot of opals. I don't know. And then before we jump in this episode, a couple little housekeeping things again. Gotta mention the Vainglory app. It's the unofficial companion app for Vainglory. Lots of great news and info about all the heroes, especially going into this new update, learning more about Baron and being able to quickly jump into an app that gives you all that info, because you can't get some of that stuff when you're playing the game or when you're just kind of waiting for your screen to load. There's all kinds of great news things, and I think what's also great is their statistics that they do for the Evil 8, and when that's happening, you can kind of go on and see the KDAs of people, who's getting the most CS, which team is up, who's on the leaderboard, going into the next season here in about a week. Always good to have. So download that app when you have a chance. It's fantastic. I got it on my phone here. And then I want to mention the Patreon page. If you want to support the show or if you want to back it in any way, that's over at patreon.com/Shatter The Vain. I know we were over on Supportly for a minute. That really didn't work out. So we're going to go back to Patreon. So thank you for anyone that's been supporting on Patreon before we moved, and then on Supportly. Now we're back to Patreon. Thank you for anyone that just supports the show. Definitely means a lot to me, and I appreciate anyone that listens or watches the show. Also mean a lot too. But let's do it. Let's jump into episode 120.
Shatter the Vain, a podcast about Vainglory.
This is the 120th episode of Shatter The Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and this is a podcast all about Vainglory. Every week, I try to break down the news, gameplay, game tips, and hopefully we can all become better players together. And every week, bringing on new people from the community, people that support and love this game. And this week, I have FourCourtJester joining me. Welcome.
Yes, absolutely a pleasure to be here. We talk so much, but
Right.
Now we finally get to talk a little bit more.
I know, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard your voice if they haven't seen you before or anything like that. But if you want to give a little introduction of who you are and what you do in the world of Vainglory.
Sure. Yeah, I go by FourCourtJester online and got into Vainglory about October last year or so. Been pursuing really the talents of casting and a little bit more this year hosting the desks for the analysts and all that. But when it comes down to it, it's just really enjoyable to get into a game, talk about it, see what happens, watch the great plays, and that's what I try to do. I try to accentuate the big important parts for you guys, make it a little bit more easier to digest. Definitely not the deepest of game knowledge, but I think in the overall sense, it's been a pretty successful kind of gig here so far.
Yeah, and you've come from the world of MOBAs, so you are very familiar with the genre,
Call me
right?
Mr. MOBA.
Mr.
Yeah,
MOBA.
13th title for Vainglory.
Damn.
13 titles over 6 years. It's definitely a market that is ever expanding.
That's crazy. I guess your biggest one before this that you were kind of really involved with was Heroes of the Storm, and you helped put together the MOBA Fire site and everything there, right?
There's two hats to that one. I've been working for MOBA Fire for about 3 years. So MOBA Fire, Smite Fire, Dota Fire, eventually Vainglory Fire. Heroes Fire was my baby because that's what I was really embedded in. Heroes of the Storm was a really big thing to me. And while Heroes didn't actually end up being my longest casting MOBA, I definitely done the most travel for that event. Blizzard was very, very kind to me in that regard. But yeah, I left Heroes and I started ramping up more on Vainglory. So coming into here, Vainglory Fire helped me learn the game a lot, simply because I got to work on the site a lot as well. And yeah, it's I love to do programming. I love to do personal projects, and at the same time, I love to do the casting side of things as well. So different hats for different things.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess what was the transition like into Vainglory? Did you just see I'm sure a lot of people, Blizzard is the top, they've been playing those games for over a decade, World of Warcraft and before that, so getting involved with them is probably I don't know, this awesome feeling in the beginning, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, once you get embedded into an accepted role and people start offering you work and start recognizing you, you feel good about it. You do. You really do. I run into Vainglory every now and then. I'll just get star pings on me. It's this guy is either a fan or a hater. I'll find out after the match. It's one of the two. But Blizzard actually ended up not requiring my talents after a little bit. I stopped getting work orders, so to speak. And it was about that time. It was about October, about just before Halloween. Twitch TV came to me and said, "Hey, have you heard of Vainglory before?" And I'd heard of it because I keep my ear to the ground on MOBAs, but it was a phone MOBA. And I'm a PC Master Race kind of guy, so it's I mean, I know of it. I've seen some videos. They just did a PAX competition. I think Lady Wabish won or something like that.
I forget who won now, but it's so long ago.
Some popular female streamer, and I tuned in and I watched it. It's wow, I mean, how's their phone graphics? Yeah. But they said, well, we're looking for casters. We definitely thought of you, which I was oh, Twitch thinks of me. That's okay. Did not know that. But I got a hold of Playoff Beard and Christian, and they said, hey, we'll give you an account. We'll unlock some heroes for you. Just go try it out. Let us know what you think. So I started tweeting about it, and I got some people to join me in games because it's always more fun with people.
Sure.
And I think played 20 or 30 games on the Saturday, and then a few more there on the Sunday for Halloween. And from there, I was man, all right, yeah, I can dig this game. I was playing Rona and I was playing Sky, and I just loved the characters. This was back 117 or something.
Probably shortly after Sky launched, right? Yeah.
She was fun, I'll tell you that. She was fun. And kind of the rest was history from there. I did a test cast with exceptions. People seemed to like it. Of course, again, game knowledge out the window at that point. It was still very new to the game, but I had an overall sense, okay, that's a stun. Don't know what it's called, but it stuns. Cool.
Right.
We'll just call it stun. All right, that's the haste. Oh, there's the block. Okay. Dude, learning how to call blocks in the very beginning of this was so hard. But now it says block when it happens. There's all these animations. It really helps out from a casting point of view as well as a viewer point of view, which is very important. Because if you can't recognize the big plays that are happening, then players are less invested in it. But yeah, as I said, really the rest was history from there. They extended the offer in December to go to Poland and Esports Arena. That's where I met up with AJ, Vedius, met Bacon for the first time,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Humanist. And yeah, we've kind of been rocking it since.
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty awesome crew of casters now and analysts as well. So it's awesome to see, like, as
Fuji
they
was a
grow.
big improvement on the weekends. Like having him on the desk. I mean, nothing against Rome, but Rome doesn't want to be there. He
Okay.
said he wants to focus on other things for the tournament, for the growth of the scene. He'd much rather, have somebody else here. And when Fuji stepped in, it was just like boom, magic. Like he just soaks up that camera.
And coming from someone who was a competitive player playing, like he adds this whole other set of knowledge to the game.
And that's what I try to extract out of him back in the EU. Is just like, what's going through your mind? You've been here, you're down to the wire, or you're in the finals, or blah, whatever. He's been through it all. Like that's an invaluable experience right there.
So how were the championships this time, even compared to the previous two times? I believe it was the winter last year where we met up and chatted a whole bunch. Like, have you seen like this big growth at them?
The growth, I can't actually attest to the in-game growth, but the stream growth has definitely not been there. I remember I was back on the previous episode of not Shatter the Vain.
Alternating current.
Alternating current, thank you. I'm on Shatter the Vain right now. And I said, with all this money, if we don't start seeing a steady 5 digits, I mean that was the next step. And we were going from 2 to 3 to 4,000 depending on the event. By the end of the year, if we can't get 10K, then you're not growing. And it's now going into the second half of September, going into October. And the growth, personally, I just haven't seen it.
Okay.
I mean, the numbers for the tournaments just don't seem to be there. The game might be like flourishing on a more casual or more competitive, level, but the stream watchers are not seemingly there.
So I know the viewership was up for EU, where that's typically like a lower number. I think NA suffered from it being on a holiday weekend a little bit.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
So like the EU numbers did look higher this time. So what was that?
Well, the biggest bump we had was when TSM announced, right? It's just like, all right, we're picking up these guys. TSM, boom, 10, 15,000. And we're like, we're in there, boys. Yeah, we got it. And that was great. It really was. It was just like, oh, maybe this is going to work after all. If we get more big sponsors, right, the funnel and viewers, and well, even if you can convert 10% of them, like you're doing great. But we haven't seen, I don't think we've seen numbers like that since, even with Cloud9 coming into this, right? I did not see any significant number because of that announcement.
I think, the Cloud9 thing also, what they had just swept in the LCS, so there was all that, I think, hype on that side too. So the Vainglory side being new, people were like, yeah, C9 Worlds, all this stuff. It's a juggling act for these organizations, I'm sure.
Well, there's another specific problem with this. Like right now, I could tune into really any kind of popular esport, and you probably get somewhere about 5,000 plus. I mean, Heroes of the Storm, depending on what the tournament is, can easily hit 5, 10, 20, 40,000 viewers. No problem. Okay. Rocket League, I think, averages something 10, 15, 20K. Yeah. And that's not even a MOBA. Like, that's just Rocket League. We're not going to talk about League of Legends, and Dota obviously just had its international, so its numbers are going to be down no matter what. But everything there is PC. That's a big thing right there. PC gaming into PC stream watching seems to be very easy. Click a button, opens a window, no problem. On phone, on mobile, on tablet, there's a whole other barrier of entry right there, because you can't do that on your tablet. Right? Yeah, you can't click the stream, play the game, and listen to it. The apps don't work like that. True. Or maybe they do, but people don't want to, right? Or you might not have the internet. You might not have a computer. That was a big thing for Vainglory Fire. It's just like, we don't have a mobile site for a mobile game that most people are actually going to try to view on a phone.
Oh, I guess I never thought about that. I need a mobile site for that.
So it's not necessarily Vainglory's fault. I think it's just the genre in general of mobile gaming. It has this high barrier that's implemented simply because the hardware is so different compared to that of a PC success. Okay. So the game itself might be flourishing. I have no an answer to numbers there. But when it comes to watching the game, there's definitely trouble amongst getting those numbers to a steadier point.
Have you felt like the production value of the show has gone up each time too, like the graphics and all that?
Whoever we're hiring, and like the name is like at the top of my head. It starts with a W. The production company WGE, I want to say.
Okay.
But again, I don't have 100% of that because I can't remember what the acronym is. They've done fantastic work. I mean, we met Chris Ambrosio, which is more or less our director or our producer. Not too sure which one, but he's come to us for multiple events now. He actually produces all the Evil 8 stuff. I mean, every time that we get these guys involved, the production is good. It's solid. We like it. There's a few slip-ups, but, human error. But it definitely is getting better. We really like the direction that it's gone. I've not heard anything to counter that on a player level, viewer level, caster level. Everything is great. Like, compared to us as of a year last year, we're doing way better when it comes to that production and the flow through. Yeah. But that's clearly not the issue.
Understandable. All right, I guess, hopefully, like you say, that growth continues, and I don't know, maybe there's just a tipping point. I feel like at some point, if it does get over 10K, it may just the first, YouTubers always say, like the first 10K is the hardest, and then it's like easier and easier from there. Maybe it's something like that with the stream too.
First 10K, the first 100K, the first million. Yeah. Like, there's always going to be another milestone for them to hit. Right? But even if, let's say randomly, Riot wanted to produce it, that's not going to increase our numbers. You can have the best production in the world, but if people don't want to load it on the phone, it doesn't matter what it looks like.
Right, yeah. And you have to convince people to watch a phone game, also that esports, and there's just a lot of stuff to go through hoops, I guess.
And I'll admit, I'm not the one with the answer on that. No. This is outside my purview of talents.
I just watch it play the game. I don't know how to fix. I don't know how to solve any problems with it.
Me neither, man. But the growth, in my opinion, is just not there.
Mm-hmm. But then you also, so you're involved with the Worlds and the Evil 8, and then you also do this stuff on the VIS stuff. I think that's also streaming right now as we're recording this. But you've helped do all these back-end programming, graphics, and things like this?
Sort of, yeah. So as I said, I'm a programmer, right? I like to tinker. I've been working with some of my online technologies to help augment my streaming processes. And when I showed that off to SCMC, they're like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't really get any kind of word out of it. But when I showed it off to Team Phoenix and Closet Nerd, he's like, could you actually produce a whole season of Vainglory with this? And I was like, well, I mean, as long as you have the camera, it's not a problem. So all you need for that is a capture card, and you put it there, and everything else, it controls all the graphics, controls all the text, and controls all the data. And it reduces human error quite a bit. I mean, how often have you watched a game where the sides are swapped, or the score is wrong, or the flat out that's wrong name is up there, right? It's because in the current source of a home-based studio of OBS or XSplit, you got multiple scenes, and that means you have to change the data on multiple scenes, and human error kicks in. But my solution was to just kind of have a data set and then just show that data set wherever it's needed. So you change it once, it's changed on every scene. So they like that. It's really useful. We have problems on Dragonborn with a Mac. I don't have a Mac that I can test on, but when he tries it with a Mac, we get different results than with a PC, which is very strange to me. Because it's all supposed to be, but he doesn't have one. Or he wants to use spectator client. When I observe, I use my NVIDIA Shield. I use this boy right here. I observe with a stylus and a capture card, and just feeds right in. He uses spec client on Mac, and I refuse to touch Mac. So that's why we have a PC and a Mac version of that program now. But ultimately, we produced the whole VIS season using my software. It was a bit bumpy in the beginning, but after the first week, we smoothed out pretty much everything, and didn't really have a lot of issues. I mean, we had the tickers, we had some animations, image replacements for all the teams, and name replacements, and everything. We even introduced rosters by the end of it. It all came together very nicely. I was very happy with the production by the time we were all done with it.
Mm-hmm. Are you iterating on it for the next season, or are you kind of, this is good for now, my time is...
I I haven't had that talk yet. If they want to expand features, I got to put in more work. But the existing feature set's actually pretty robust, and I'm always trying to iterate and make it better. But I have a finite amount of hours in the day.
Right, yeah. And especially as you dive into other MOBAs and explore the scene even more. So, seeing you
The
play
only
it.
other game, I only have one other game on my radar, so I haven't actually really looked around, so to speak. But I'm very happy with Vainglory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's not going to be the thing I retire on, but I'm very happy to continue doing Vainglory. It's a really fun game.
Mm-hmm. How do you like it as far as the community goes? I believe we chatted on that a little bit. Like it's a different vibe, I feel like, than like Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends.
It's a much younger community.
Okay.
So younger doesn't necessarily mean better in that regard.
Right, yeah.
Experience or opinionated people, entitlement comes up a lot when it comes to some of these arguments. For example, legendary skins. They came back, opals, all that is like, all right. I mean, this happens in almost every single game. I don't know what the problem here is. And people say, my skins are worth less.
Sure.
Okay. How? I mean, the monetary value didn't change. You can't trade it. You can't give it around. I don't know how you're really evaluating that your skin is worth less when it's just a skin. But I've never been a big skin guy myself, so
okay.
I don't know. There was a big laugh. I had a big laugh about the whole opal thing and the enragement and all that. But that's me.
Yeah, I think I saw both sides of it. I knew they were going to come back at some point. I think it was a little early for them to come back, but they had to come back. Like they were going to.
Have you ever bought a Cinderella, for example? Like if you bought VHS Cinderella, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's going into the vault. It's never going to see it again. Oh, the sky's falling. Then the vault closes, and 10 years later, it's like, just kidding. No, it's back. It's back. It's digitally remastered. Oh, it's Cinderella. Yeah. Oh no, we're putting it back in the vault now. 10 years later, Blu-ray DVD, Cinderella, never again will you ever... it happens. Guys, it happens. Somebody has to make money. I'm sorry, that's how businesses work.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so, but we won't need to get in this. I think that will lay that skin controversy away.
I'm not saying you're wrong in your opinions if you're enraged. I just found it funny.
Sure.
If you feel offended, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I respect that you're feeling offended. But that's about as far as my opinion will go.
Nice. Okay. Well, cool. Should we move on and jump into some news then?
Sure. What we got?
Vainglory News.
So I think the big news at the top is this past week we saw 1.22 get dropped, and with it came these opals and came Baron, the new hero. And a few balance changes, not really too many balance changes. I think just the in-game currency and I think the multi-touch and camera shift things are kind of the bigger feature sets in this one. But you've probably been taking a little bit of a break from Vainglory since you've been doing all the traveling and haven't dived too much into this update yet, have you?
No, I've been very much on vacation mode. I'm not going to lie. It's been a pretty big vacation mode for me. Apparently, I was supposed to cast VIS last night. I totally forgot.
Oh no!
I've done my apologies, but that is how far out of it this week I have been. It has been fighting jet lag, trying to get back into something of a rotation back here at home, and a lot of downtime with roommates and girlfriends and all that. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do apologize. Should have been there, wasn't. That's my bad. But yeah, 1-2-2 with the autumn map. This is the autumn map that I kind of learned on last year.
It's not as spooky, right? We had more of a Halloween one than a just straight up autumn map. But it's pretty close. But I like this map. The colors are nice. Yeah. As far as Baron goes, I haven't really played too much of him. I've seen people play him quite a bit. He usually is getting picked in most games, and he's kind of a pain in the butt because he's just this big AoE damaging that you can't get near. So that's been my experience with him so far.
I mean, I remember the reaction of all the players when we were at the NA finals and all the players were huddling around watching it, and he's like, boom! It's like 3,000 damage, like, oh.
Yeah,
Like,
be a
everyone's
little
like,
strong.
he's a little OP. When it comes down to it, though, I mean, ultimately, if you build enough shield, I don't think he's going to be huge, but he's a very mobile kind of jerk face, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he can see like someone, if you like to set up plays, like maybe you're not doing all the damage and getting all the kills, but you're setting up your team to do it. I think that's where he like lies in, because you can direct where the enemies maybe don't want to go, so then they have to like go into a Kestel trap or something like that.
Kind of idea.
Yeah.
You'd use it to wall off escapes for sure.
So
The jump jets having the unstoppable on it, like the block,
yeah.
that really irks me a little.
Just
Like, jump jets, nothing you can do, just flipping the bird as
Right,
you jump away.
I will just jump out of this gauntlet and whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Flip off art, it shakes at you. It's mechanical fizz. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I haven't personally gotten to play him though. So.
Okay. Yeah. The few times I have, I've been pretty bad with them, so I haven't
really
tried it too much.
A1.
Then some fun new skins. I do find this interesting that we are getting tier 3 Lyras and tier 2 Lances before other tiers.
Like what?
We didn't get tier 1 or 2 Lyra. They jumped right to tier 3.
That is true, now that I think about it.
I think Playoff Beard said on their downtime stream it was to not stifle the artists and make them have to follow this set path. But you can buy Lyra for Ice tier 3, and you could never buy a tier 3 skin beforehand with Ice. So the whole skin and just straight up money kind of makes me think the tier system doesn't really work.
I want to know why she's a unicorn all of a sudden.
I don't know. Did she fall in love with a unicorn? Or
The Lance though looks pretty ridiculous.
yeah, he looks tough out there. He's scary. He's already scary when you run into one. It's like I cannot believe he does that amount of damage, and then he looks so evil now.
See, I'm a Lance, main, more or less a Lance main right now. So when I see this, I'm just, yep, that's a skin I'm getting.
Nice. Are you playing Lance in all roles, in roam and jungle, like whatever?
Every role. If you join up for me for casual, I'm playing Lance. What are you playing? Don't care. I'm playing Lance. You need me to support? No problem. You need me to lane? No problem. You need me to jungle? No problem. You need me to win? No problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's how that goes.
And Lance, yeah, I think I have a problem just playing against the Lance, because I underestimate his damage so much. It's like, why can this guy do so much damage?
I'm a big fan of getting the attention bow. Doesn't matter what role I'm on. I'm getting attention bow.
Okay. Nice.
That's me, man. Yep.
One of the big changes, I think, maybe from a competitive side, is these multi-touch controls, and especially the camera shift control. Being able to adjust the camera, I know, has been something that very early on people were like, I just want to not have a locked camera. And this is something from people coming from other MOBAs are like, why is it always locked? I can't unlock it and free roam and things like that. So this is sort of an unlocked camera in a way, a little bit.
Well, it adds another kind of skill tier to the game, so to speak. Because now, if you shift it all the way to the right and then you gank from the left and they don't see it, boosh, that's great. But if you shift it all the way to the left and then you see somebody coming from the right and you shift it back, to kind of center or whatever, the field of vision difference is going to be pretty intense.
Yeah. I think you'll see people like in the higher tiers and things like that start to use this to really good advantage, and I think it may separate that tier a little more for people that are good at adjusting the cameras and setting up those like Hellfire Brews or Celeste alts when you can have just a tiny bit more vision. I try to use it, and then sometimes after playing for almost 2 years, I forget that this is here yet. It's so new. Right. I'm not like, oh yeah, I should move the camera and do that.
So my understanding, though, is that this doesn't actually increase how much you can see. It's just it extends the vision.
Yeah.
So like if because I'm going to use my shield as an example because it's a 4:3 or it's a 16:9. No, it's a 4:3. Never mind. So my vision is very different than a 16:9 on an iPhone, for example.
Right.
So because it's more boxy, right? So if it's more boxy and I shift my vision over here, I'm still only getting that vision of my box. But if a teammate shows up over there, my understanding then is like the vision will extend a little bit.
Right. So like a fog of war without having the fog.
It's like a fog of war without an actual fog of war, but they'll show up, and that's big because every MOBA on the PC that I've ever done, I have never played with a locked character. I just assumed that at that point the locked character was simply because it's MOBA, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to have to continually scroll while trying to tap and do skill shots and all that. But the camera shift idea, like locking it to an anchor that you can go kind of these ways around it, as I said, that can be a game changer.
Mm-hmm. And being able to move a camera, that wouldn't have been an issue or a thing we could have done because multi-touch wasn't in the game. You wouldn't be able to move the camera and still be fighting on one part of the map and things like that. So having full multi-touch controls is kind of a big improvement as well. And I think it kind of changes the game for what we could see coming if we start to see I know the problem is Android and iOS have different touch and force touch and things like that we won't see right away. But as they start to add those features, we may start to see some more of that.
I don't know if I'm personally going to use some of this multi-touch stuff. It might take me a while to ease into it. I'm a mouse and keyboard guy of the last 30-something years, so kind of adapting. I have enough problems sometimes hitting my reflex block as it is on my phone. But now adding multi-touch into it. But for the people that are playing this game at a high level or playing this on a way more regular basis than I am, this seems like a big deal. I mean, pushing what you can do multi-touch wise with the Evil engine. I mean, basically these guys are on the forefront of multi-touch and how to deal with that. It's almost like a Google level at this point.
Right.
SEMC has put a lot into their Evil engine, and it's always continuously impressing me how much more they can get out of it as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
I'm also the programmer, so maybe I have more of a heightened sense of that appreciation.
There you go, yeah. And as the devices get more powerful, besides when Samsung devices aren't blowing up, but they gotta.
That was on my flight for Germany. They actually have now, the flight stewardess is saying you cannot use this on this flight. You cannot charge it.
Yes.
I don't know how they're going to enforce that, but that was rather surprising because we did E3 with Samsung. We had those notes in our hands.
Yeah.
I'm glad I still have my hands.
Because those have the Vulkan graphics. That's the same as the Apple Metal side. So they should.
Is it called Metal? That was something else.
On Apple's, it's Metal. On Android, it's the Vulkan. So.
Yeah. I gotta say, again, I'm really impressed with what they can do with it. But yeah, not blowing up in your hands is great too.
Mm-hmm. And then as far as the other patch, we saw a nice change for the phone. If you play on the phone, you play on your Shield. I play on my iPad, so I don't just.
I play on my Samsung phone too. I do actually have a Samsung phone. It's just unrelated.
Okay, not that one. So I think moving these controls are probably pretty useful for anyone that uses their thumbs to play the game on the phone. So that's
that alone looks actually much better to me.
Mm-hmm. Makes more sense because I know people had weird claw grab kind of things for their phone and
I use everything. Some of the pros. I mean, I think Druid has it the best because he just puts down his phone, whips out two stylus, and just goes like this.
Yeah, kind of makes sense. Two swords, kind of.
I don't know how you're supposed to beat him on a Samsung phone when he has two styluses.
Then we saw a bunch of balance changes. We won't dive into those, but do you end up looking at all the balance notes, or you just kind of when you go to cast, you're not too worried about Celeste's cooldown is 1 second shorter. That's not a big deal for the casting part of it.
I mean, it's part of the job to be up to date with this, so it's not like I go into it blind. I would definitely play the week before for the Evil 8. So if there's a new patch on the Wednesday, I'll play the Thursday, Friday just to get myself up to speed. And I'll keep the patch notes. I usually keep them up on my third monitor just in case I need to reference them.
Okay.
But I mean, ultimately, as I said, I've sort of been on vacation this week. I have not done a lot with this, but Stormguard banner getting another boost of damage. I'm just curious, are we just going to see more and more Stormcrowns? Is that the meta? We saw Stormcrown crawl in EU.
Yeah. I don't think the games I've been playing, it's not as prevalent as I've expected it to be. Every once in a while I run into maybe I saw Stormcrown Saw, and that didn't work out for him, but I think it's on the verge of people realizing how strong it is and becoming an issue.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. But, we also had the new dawn of the Takas, the new Tension Crown Takas.
Yeah.
We had an Aftershock Storm Crown Taka. I think it was a Taka in EU. Maybe it wasn't a Taka. Maybe it was a Koshka. Yeah, I think it was actually a Koshka. But
okay.
It's just the meta is always evolving, man.
That's why I just get rid of Taka. It's the easiest person to get rid of. I don't need to deal with that.
In NA. But they do not give him any peace of mind in EU at all. It's all Koshkas. Fun, but
that is weird. I guess it's fun about watching the different regions, and especially I'm sure on your side, being really talking to the players and seeing why don't you guys play this? NA, it's really strong here. Why isn't it strong here? It's just a fascinating thing. Every
region grows up their own set of what they think is overpowered, and that's why it's really fun when we see Clash of the Regions. There was a big example of it's another MOBA, but Heroes of the Storm had one where Korea flew out to face off against Europe, and I remember reading the aftermath because after the first game, the Korean community is like, why did we just get all of our top tier heroes? And EU community is like, why did they pick all these terrible heroes? But Korea won. Korea won with their terrible heroes. So it really is fun. That's why when Worlds comes around, we're finally going to sit down, Korea, NA, EU. We're going to see which meta is the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very exciting thing from a caster, from a viewer, from somebody who likes to see this kind of tournament go head to head, as an esports lover. That is the highest form of entertainment for me.
Right. I think that leads perfectly into the Worlds that got announced, the first ever World Championships. It's going to be in Hollywood from December 2nd to the 4th.
What was the name of the place? Something, the TCL Chinese Theater.
Yeah. So I think
which apparently is a huge landmark. Mm-hmm. And I was in Hollywood 3 months ago, and I've never heard of it.
It's the old where they used to do all the premieres for the movies a long time ago. And I think it's on the main strip with the Walk of Fame and everything. So there's
TCL Chinese Theater. What does it even look like?
It looks like how you would imagine.
It looks like a Chinese theater.
Yeah.
Holy. Okay.
So it should be pretty cool.
I mean, that looks awesome. Don't get me wrong, but such a weird announcement for me.
Mm-hmm. So there'll be 12 teams, 3 NA teams. So right now we have Hammers, Velocity, and Team Solo Mid for sure. And then whoever wins the second split of the autumn season.
Now, that could actually be first, second, or third place because we already have Hammers and Team Solo Mid going. So they get first and second. It's not like they boot somebody out of the spot. You just kind of got to go down.
Right. So we'll see there. Then Europe has Team Secret, of course. They've been the unstoppable force there, and Snow Avalanche.
So recently.
Yeah. And then China, I think it's Team Hunters. That's the only team most of us in NA are familiar with in the China region. That's Queen's team.
Did you see her cosplay of Catherine?
No, I didn't see that. Was that
absolutely gorgeous?
Ooh, I'll have to check that out. Yeah. And then Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia, South America, and then there's gonna be a wild card as well. So
global wild card.
Yeah, that's
probably going to NA or EU, boys.
Probably just for I think the fan base probably, and those are some of the teams that we see played all the time. So if it was Steve's Halcyons in South America, I don't think anyone would want to watch them.
Yeah. Who are these guys again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not exactly what you want your wild card to be. I would actually like to see a wild card tournament where the winner moves on.
Oh,
But
so yeah.
it's hard to do with the latency as is. Right?
That's true. Yeah, because it's really not. Someone is always at a disadvantage, right?
Yep. That's why trying to do international while you don't all sit down in the same place is just hell. Every game suffers from that. Pigs, man.
So I can't wait to see how this turns out, and like seeing probably all these top tier players all in one place at one time is just going to be kind of nuts for any fans that live in Hollywood or nearby. I think this is going to be a great event to go to.
You get to come get my autograph and chill with me.
There you
Who
go.
doesn't want that?
Right. I don't
That
know.
being said, I don't actually have a contract to Worlds. We've been talked to, but like nothing's in stone. I'm just assuming I'm going to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I don't know how this.
I didn't shoot myself in the foot.
Right.
Just now.
I don't know how this plays into the VIPL or if VIPL is done or over. So we haven't heard any news on that side in a while.
I would not expect a VIPL this season simply because they just announced an Overwatch League, all in-house produced by OGN. So
okay. So that
probably not seeing a VIPL.
So that probably took advantage of that studio and that team.
That studio, man. Wow. I asked Fuji about it. He's like, yeah, I mean, you're never going to see anything better than that. I was like, all right.
Man, crazy. A couple other things on the news. The servers happen to be down for SEA over like the last couple days after the patch launched, after the update 1.22. It's been down, and Ed the Shred jumped on the forums just trying to kind of address this. And I guess SEA is their first region, so that was where they launched the game originally, and it is the oldest server, and it has its own problems that come with being the oldest server. As the growth happened, I don't think it was ready for this, so they've been having some issues there.
Well, geez, got a lot of forum love at the Shred, but as the point man there, as one of the kind of big cheeses, the servers are currently in maintenance message for 20% of the players. The root cause is the issue of the rapid growth in the region. So again, while our esports might not be developing, I have no intel on the actual game expanding, but if their server is getting knocked out because the region is simply growing because of people and their regional database can't keep up, that's fantastic news. That's amazing. It sucks for the 20% of players that can't play, and I feel your pain. I've been there. It really sucks when all you want to do is play a game and the servers are down. But this is ultimately good for for Vainglory, especially SEA Vainglory, because now they're going to 110% make sure all those regional upgrades go in, and then boosh, like the floodgates will be open.
And it probably covers a huge area, that SEA region. So maybe this may be like, okay, we need another server in this location just to kind of offset some of that demand.
Well, as long as they get scaling and load balancing implemented, should not be too much of a issue. I mean, these guys have scaled so very well until now. It's kind of weird that one upgrade would kind of knock them down like this. But again, like they'll just go back, they'll revisit it, and they'll make sure it never happens again.
Yeah, I saw autocorrect. He was we were on someone's stream, and he was talking like if you can't connect to the server, like you can't log out. So he's like, I can't even play on NA or EU because it's stuck trying to connect to the SEA servers. So it's got to be frustrating. Like there's just no forced way out of the game.
Yeah, maybe add a clause in there for the player to force log out.
Yeah. But most people don't play on other regions. They have their account in their region. So it's a very small percent that's probably like, yeah, can you log me out? So.
I have my FourCourtJester in NA and my FCJEU in EU. Well, that's it, because those are the only places I go for this game right now. But I mean, if I went to an SEA event, I would probably make an SEA account. Yeah. And then if I got stuck there, I would raise hell for sure.
That's why you have two devices. You gotta keep one logged in somewhere else.
Sometimes though, I play so much on one device, like my tablet, and it's like, oh, my tablet's about to die. I'll get on my phone. updating. Oh crap! When was the last time I played on my phone? Then you lose the game and people hate you. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Like,
Yep. It's happened.
Man. The last bit of news before we wrap up the news is the free hero rotation. Always like to mention that because this game, if it's growing, like Super Evil's saying, there's all these new players that don't have access to these heroes because getting into a MOBA is incredibly expensive. And you're like, I will never have 8,000 glory or 900 ice for the new hero or whatever. So you end up playing a lot of free heroes.
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, if you wanna spend money in a MOBA, most of that's gonna be in your skins, and skins are not cheap. The artistic value that these guys put into it is phenomenal. Only really one other game I've ever seen kind of puts this much effort into their skins. They're not just kind of terrible blocky knockoffs. But yeah, they are kind of expensive. So I can understand a little bit of frustration when it kind of like, oh, new game, oh, new skins, ooh, and then you look at the price tag. Yep. I can sympathize with it.
The free-to-play game becomes very expensive.
I mean, that's the model, right? Free to play. I don't know who's playing this game for free. And that goes all the way back to League of Legends. Like, League of Legends kind of popularized this. It's like, so how much have you spent in this game? $8,000.
Yeah. But
yeah,
if you get that enjoyment and that time out of it, it offsets it somehow.
That's an old Penny Arcade comic. It's like, free-to-play game, $8,000. I don't know anybody that spent $8,000, but I do know somebody that spent $3,000.
Okay. I think I'm a few $100 deep into League of Legends before I walked away. So
I don't think it's more than a few hundred, but even that's mind-boggling, right? It's like, I'm okay with spending a few $100s in this game. Long gone are the games of you buy a CD for $45.
Right, yeah.
And we just slip into it. And again, younger player base, not really a huge concept of money or parents' credit card or whatever it is, right? Younger players like to spend money. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. It's not against Vainglory. That's just a general fact. The other demographic, weirdly enough, is over 40 women.
They spend a lot of money in the games?
Not quite mobile MOBAs, but Farmville, or back in the day, that was actually predominated by over 40 housewives or grandmas or mothers, that kind of thing. Yeah. And they would spend on those gems. It was a really cool case study. It was up to 18, over 40. Those are the number 1 and 2 spending demographics.
That's when you have the most disposable income.
Or the most time.
But this free hero rotation includes Alpha, Cruel, Kestrel, Arden, Blackfeather, and Catherine. And no Lance. Yeah, I think Arden. He might be back now. We were starting to see him. Was it in? I think it was Flash X's.
Flash X.
He was playing a lot of Arden, and I think he was like 100% win rate on Arden during the championships. So
can't attest to that, but it's pretty high.
It was pretty high.
Yeah. For championships, yeah, 100%. They didn't lose a game. Mm-hmm. So. From all of Evo 8, though, they played a lot of Fortress, and then they transitioned to a lot of Arden. Everybody else was, Catherine. Everybody else was Finn. Adagio, Lyra, Finn. Yeah, a lot of Finn. Why did I forget Finn? You Finn to win, man. You Finn to win. Yeah, but they were predominantly Fortress into Arden, which is against the, quote, meta, but they went undefeated with it.
Yeah. I think if you're not playing Arden or thinking of getting into him, now's your chance because he's in that free rotation. And yeah, he can be a bully. I think he can stand up to the Lyra poke and things like that just a little easier.
Just remember, you can be stunned while you're leaping to put down a gauntlet. Right. I remember the first time, I was like, gauntlet time! And it just...
You're like, what happened?
Where's my gauntlet? Then I died. Like, I did not know you could do that. Oh, yeah. So that's my pro tip right there, guys.
Just careful of that. Cool. So free hero rotation changes every Tuesday, so look for a new one next week. Baron is probably way far from being in there. A couple more weeks, 3 weeks at least.
I would actually expect second or third week for Baron.
Oh, I think that's soon.
Because after the ice period goes away and you mine from Glory, and you can try him out for free, and then you get used to him, and then the next week he's not free, you got to buy him now. That's
true. There you go.
You want to buy him. Yeah. That's how that goes.
Cool. So that does it for the news. Before we get out of here, got a little fun forum static topic.
Forum static.
So I think this is a good topic, especially for you coming from playing a lot of Heroes of the Storm, are new maps and just like the game modes in general. Like for some reason, the cry has been incredibly loud lately from the community. Just like, we want a new map. Where's our 4v4? Where's our 5v5? And I guess it's a strange thing to be everyone wanting. Are people bored of the game? Is that what's kind of happening? Are they just always? Are people never satisfied? Is that kind of where
people are never satisfied? That's the number one thing. The people are like, the customer's always right. It's like, okay, but they never are. It's the same idea. It's just like, it doesn't matter how many features you put out there for the customers. They're always going to want more. Mm-hmm. This is one of the only MOBAs though, with limited kind of game modes. I mean, ARAM or Battle Royale, as it eventually became called, right? That was only introduced earlier this year.
Right, yeah. I think, yeah.
Right. And that's after, 2 years of being more or less out in the market?
Be a year and a half, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So people like doing other things after, the monotony of it all kind of sets in. You get into the game, you get to Vainglorious, wipe, you get to Vainglorious, wipe, you get to Vainglorious. Not to say that they get bored of it, it's just, it's nice to do other things. Right. It's nice to do other things. And a lot of the other games implement way too many modes. League of Legends, has, I think, 3. Right. I have not played League in a long time, but they got 3v3, 5v5, and ARAM mode, right? I don't know if they have anything more, but, that opened up a lot of different ways to play the game. They used to have Crystal Scar, or Dominion.
Dominion, yeah.
Rip. It's now done. Smite has like 5 or 6 or 7 different game modes. I don't even know how to name all of those. Heroes of the Storm has a few different ones there because they have different maps rotating. They also have their Caravan now for their ARAM now. Dota has always had, kind of different ways to play. All Captains mode, for example, is like the big number one that most people play. But
yeah,
they also do seasonal things. So when it comes to this, yeah, people like variety. Variety is the spice of life. They might threaten to leave the game over it, but they won't.
They won't. Yeah, there's always threats. Everyone threatens to leave their MOBA.
Yeah, but people always just want to do more and better and different things, right?
Mm-hmm. You hear a lot of people or this game, if it's growing or not growing, like sometimes they say the player base can't handle a splitting for another game mode. That's kind of the reason why we didn't see, our ARAM or Battle Royale for so soon, or casual versus ranked, because the queue times would be so long. But if it's growing, we should be able to get something else, right?
Well, so here's the thing. I don't know if you can actually grow this to a 4v4. And I say that because phones and tablets are finitely or powerful. Right. They can't scale as computers do. Dota has a 5v5 game mode, but then they showed us 10v10. And again, I'm a programmer. I'm thinking, now you've just doubled your load per game minimum. And if you did that a few million times over, your servers are going to go right out the window.
Yeah.
Right? Because they won't be able to scale to that. So now again, don't take this as word of law. This is just one programmer's opinion. I don't know if they can actually scale the game to 4v4 or not.
I don't think they need to. Like even if they wanted to or tried to, I don't think it needs to. I like that it's 3v3. If it was 5v5, then it would be instantly compared to League of Legends and Heroes of the Storm and Dota. At least this way it stands on its own.
Also, if you go up with players, you're also likely to drag out game time as well, because things are going to be slower in the beginning. If you go into 2 lanes with a jungle and a support, well, now you have more ground to cover. You need a bigger map. And now that jungle support have to kind of figure out, are they going up or down or left? Are they ganking? Are they defending? Are they covering a lane? Like, you're going to slow down the early game a little bit. Unless you're just ridiculously good. Then it probably won't change at all. But yeah, ultimately, yeah. So now the games are, on average, going to be longer. You're increasing the server load by another 33%. And you got to do that a few million times over. So, again, a 4v4 would be cool, 5v5 would be cool, 10v10 would be cool. I just don't know if the device can physically do it. And then even if you find a device that can do it, what about the older devices? What about the iPads, the iPhones, the Androids, the Samsungs, the netbooks, the Fires, right?
I don't think that
There is a minimum barrier of entry on what you can do here, and if all devices can't hit it, you are not going to be able to do that.
True. Yeah.
That's just another. That's what goes through my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 4v4. Oh, cool. Can the phone do that?
I think we will get another game mode at some point. I forget. I think it was Chainsaw mentioned that they are working on other game modes, so we are bound to see something like our battle royale at some point. Something else, if it gets replaced or added to it. If it's like I don't even know what else you can do. Is it like we have a lot of game modes that people play, like Democracy and things like that for fun. The streamers do, but as far as what they can do,
Democracy the random item thing?
that one's all Clockworks, right? You can only buy.
I think about Democracy.
I forget the rules of it. I haven't played any of those in a long time.
Supremacy. I'm thinking of Supremacy.
Okay.
There was an old website. Well, somebody made a website for it, but basically, you random a hero. I'm pretty sure, but you random hero. You random your summoners. You get into the game, and you have to go something like you have to go stacking items. You can only go stacking items in the game. And then every time you get a kill, you have to say, thank you for the first stack of Supremacy or something like that. Thank you for the second stack of Supremacy. Something like that. It was really dumb.
Okay.
It was really dumb, but people took it as a challenge to do. And it was really weird when it worked. So I thought maybe it was something like that, random items, random skill allotments. But apparently it's not. Because Democracy would tell me that people have a voice in what you're doing.
No, yeah. There's no voice.
I don't know why it's called Democracy.
So yeah, but game modes, I don't know. I think it'll happen at some point, something else. But new map, 4v4, 5v5. Like you said, I don't think the phones can handle it. I don't think we need it. Yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Like a co-op holdout mode or something.
Oh.
Just waves and waves of minions. How long can you hold out with your group of 3?
Oh, that could be good. Some sort of like who has the most CS at the end wins or something like that. Yeah.
Could be. I don't know. There's way too many things we could do with this, but ultimately, I think it will stay 3v3.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for episode 120. FourCourtJester, thanks for joining me. This was fantastic.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to you today, Brett.
Where can people find you, either outside of the game or when you're not casting? Twitter, the best place? You have a Discord?
Yeah, I do a lot through Twitter. On Twitter is my email, but I get a lot of spam. So okay. I mean, you might get swept away with that. But yeah, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, FourCourtJester. You can add me in game. It's the same as my Twitch. It's the same as everything. FourCourtJester with the F, the C, and the J. But we're going to be doing a lot with Autumn. I'm still kind of figuring out how much, because VGL is going to be back, VIS is going to be back, the Evil 8 is going to be back. I know there's other tournaments that want to run that we've been talking to. So there's still a lot to be done before Worlds. So you're going to see a lot of me around this one.
Awesome. And then I think VIS is done after today, right? Is this the last?
Well, this season.
This season, yeah. So
yeah, there's very likely going to be another unless they're changing the way challengers work.
Okay.
But my understanding is that challengers will be exactly kind of the same as summer.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll have probably a week or 2 weeks off of no Vainglory esports, and then
Evil 8 starts next week.
Oh, next week. So yeah, not even a week off. Oh, jeez.
Well, this was my week off.
This was your week. Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I haven't played the game. I haven't looked at patch notes. I have not even answered any calls. And unfortunately, I ended up, again, skipping out on the VIS fight. My bad. I do apologize. But, yeah, we're back to full schedule this week.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to see how everyone takes this patch. I think that's one of my favorite things, is to watch the pros play each patch, because then you're like, all right, yeah, these are the good people to pick. It kind of trickles down.
Follow them, study them, see what they do, and then incorporate that into your own gameplay. That's a big thing for me with these kind of games.
Yeah. So then Shatter The Vain is on Twitter, at Shatter The Vain. Website shatterthevain.com. All the episodes get posted there. iTunes, Stitcher, the YouTube version as well. And I'll be back with another episode next week. Thanks for listening.
Let's get this over with.